This sorghum growing training video is brought to you by the MARCCI University Regional Center for Crop Improvement and is funded by the MARCCI University Research Innovations Fund in partnership with the Forum and the World Bank. Here's a brief about MARCCI. MARCCI is an African Regional Center of Excellence for Crop Improvement. It is a unit under the College of Agriculture and Environmental Sciences housed at MARCCI University Agriculture Research Institute, Kabanyolo. MARCCI offers a PhD in plant breeding and biotechnology, as well as a Master of Science in Plant Breeding and Seed Systems in cooperation with the Department of Agriculture and Production. The Center's research program currently supports two model crops, that's to say cowpeas and sorghum, to demonstrate best feeding practices to both students in its training programs as well as scientists in the region. So let's get to it. In Uganda, sorghum is the second most important cereal after maize in terms of production and area. It is a staple food crop grown in the northern, eastern, and western regions of Uganda. Sorghum is a rich source of carbohydrates, proteins, vitamins, minerals like iron and zinc, as well as polyunsaturated fatty acids. It can be consumed as food, forage, a local non-alcoholic drink called bushera, and forage to animals. Finally, sorghum is also becoming a cash crop, especially for the brewery industry for making beer by the East African breweries and Nile breweries. In this video, farmers will learn the proper cultivation techniques and post-harvest practices to get the best out of sorghum growing. This video shall be segmented into three parts, that is to say, pre-planting or planning, planting and management, and finally harvesting and post-harvest handling techniques. So, what is done during the pre-planting phase? This stage involves making the right selection of seed varieties, choosing the best soils, and finally the preparation techniques before sowing. Firstly, seeds should be selected based on the farmer's intention. So, is it brewery, food, or animal feeds? The list displayed here indicates the varieties that can be purchased from narrow seed companies and your local farmer groups. Now we get to the land selection. Sorghum performs well in deep, well-drained fertile soils with moderate organic matter and pH between 6 and 7.5. However, in Uganda, sorghum is mainly grown on low-potential shallow soils with high clay loam or sandy loam texture. This makes it necessary to add lime to the soils to reduce the soil acidity in order to attain optimum productivity. In regards to rainfall, sorghum thrives best in moderate to high relatively stable rainfall distribution. In Uganda, sorghum grows under fluctuating rainfall conditions of approximately 82 to 130 millimeters per month. The best recommended temperature for germination is 17 to 18 degrees Celsius and 20 to 30 degrees Celsius for optimal growth. Now, the final step under planning is the land preparation. It is advisable to prepare the land at least 1 month before the planting. This allows for better sprouting and seedling development. The preparation may be done using a hand hoe, ox plow, or tractor. Also, the plowing should be done preferably twice to obtain a fine field for crop establishment. Tractor plowed land has to be harrowed with fine tills to achieve better crop emergence. And now, we are ready for the planting. Planting and management. Regardless of the part of the country, it is advisable to plant on the onset of rains so that the crop receives peak water requirements when adequate moisture is still available. In flat areas, sorghum is planted in well-prepared fields, while in flood-prone areas, planting on ridges is recommended. Row planting is highly recommended for optimum yields and ease of field operations. The recommended seed rates for row planting are 4 kilograms per acre with 3 to 5 seeds per hole. And then for sow row planting, seeds should be spaced as follows: 60 by 20 centimeters for the shorter varieties, and then 90 by 30 centimeters for the taller varieties. Farmers who wish to intercrop sorghum should do it with either cowpeas or green gram and should use a ratio of 1 sorghum crop to 2 legumes. So with that said, how do we best manage this sorghum? Like with other crops, it is important to keep the field weed-free by having at least 2 weeding operations during production, the first being done 2 to 3 weeks after germination, while the second weeding should be done about 6 to 7 weeks depending on the weed intensity. It is also really important that sorghum is grown in highly fertile soils, so the fertilizer should be used to enhance productivity where necessary. It is recommended to use between 5 to 10 tons of organic fertilizer, which may be broadcast per hectare of the field. If you wish to use a fish fertilizer, apply a compound fertilizer such as 20 kilograms of DAP 2020 together with 20 kilograms of P205 per acre in the furrows. Alternatively, 20 kilograms of CAN or urea may be applied or beside the crop in presence of adequate moisture to dissolve the fertilizer. And now we get to the notorious pests and diseases. It is important to note that several pests and diseases affect sorghum production in Uganda, including covered kernel smut, grain mold, rust, stem borers, shoot flies, among many others. To mitigate this problem, it is advisable to plant clean seed dressed with Thiram or any other effective chemical. It is also recommended to practice regular crop rotation with non-host crops, especially legumes. And finally, always plant resistant varieties. And now we get to the final stage, harvesting and post-harvest handling techniques. The maturity period of sorghum ranges between 90 to 140 days depending on the variety. Harvesting can be done by cutting the sorghum panicle just below the attachment with the pandacle as shown here. So then, how best do we handle the yield after harvesting? Like other cereals, drying is the best and most recommended post-handling technique. It prevents molding and spoilage. Drying should be done on dark colored tarpaulin, concrete floor, or on locally constructed raised racks. As a general rule, avoid drying the produce in contact with soil. The dried sorghum seeds should be stored in a well-aerated, cool and dry facility which must be free of pests. This sorghum grain should also be stored on raised pallets and preferably gunny bags or silage bags as shown here. If you follow these tips, we guarantee that you shall reap the best out of your sorghum crop. Thank you for watching. This video was produced by 8 Tech Consulting Limited.